I assume that many of you have heard already about the terrible tragedy that occurred this past week in Jerusalem, involving a young family, a family with 4 small children, the family of Shimon and Michal Gross of the Givat Mordechai neighborhood, a religious family, and they brought in an exterminator to do some extermination of pests in one of the rooms of their apartment. And somehow, and it's unclear how, this exterminator, who's actually a well-known and highly regarded and highly professional and extremely, many decades experience as an exterminator, somehow the poison that he used ended up having a terrible, terrible and tragic effect on this family. Two of the children, the 1-year-old and the 3-year-old, Yael and Abigail, they ended up very, very tragically. They ended up dying from this poison. They ended up being poisoned, and they have 2 boys, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, who are now hospitalized in the Schneider Children's Hospital, and they are really in very, very critical condition. So at the very end, I'm going to tell you their names if you would like to join in davening. If you can't wait to that point, you can just daven to a really miraculous recovery, miraculous and immediate recovery for all of the Gross family, Mishpacha Gross. So I think that probably like many, many mothers of young children, so I am completely caught up in this story, and every time I'm on the computer, I check one more time an Israeli newspaper site to see if there's any more updates, and in fact there was some very good news on Shabbat that Yitzchak Gross, who's 5 years old, so he's being kept basically in a medically induced coma under heavy sedation, and he's on a heart and lung machine. And on Shabbat, then the doctors reduced the amount of sedation that he was receiving in order to so that he would a little bit come out of the coma. And an amazing thing happened. His parents were with him. His parents are, it's so tragic. We're sitting Shiva, but on Shabbat you can't sit Shiva. So they were with their sons in the hospital, which is in the Tel Aviv area. And they offered Yitzchak, the 5-year-old, they offered him a Shabbat candy, and they said, "Do you want this candy for Shabbat? This Shabbat candy?" And he said, "Uh-huh." And then they offered him a different candy. They said, "Do you want this candy for Shabbat?" He said, "Uh-uh." It's unclear to me. I read like different reports about this. Some of the reports said he spoke with his father. Some say it was just by using just by head and eye movement. So it's unclear exactly. But somehow, so the doctors are very hopeful that this means if Bezrat Hashem, if he actually does come out of this, if he does pull out of this and survive this episode, like this poisoning, then neurologically, his responses to the questions are a hopeful sign about his neurological condition. But still, it's not. We got a long way to go, and we're waiting to see big miracles. And I know, like, people in Israel, so many people are in Israel. Like all the kids in my children's school, my daughter's gone, and all of the parents took 10 chapters of Tehillim to recite every day this week. And I think just all over the country, people are praying. And if there's, I really hope that I'm going to have good news to share. So I'm talking about all this just to talk about like the impact that this tragedy has had on me as a mother. I am, Baruch Hashem, the mother of a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and other children as well. So I think maybe that's why. So for me, it's an especially big wake-up call for me. So especially my 1-year-old and my 3-year-old are the children, I think, out of all of my children who have the tendency to drive me the most crazy, who like most test my patience. And since this whole story, I look at them and I just so appreciate, that I have, they still do all these things to press my buttons, but I, it does so much just to make me appreciate, like, oh wow, I have healthy children. I have healthy children. This morning I was doing every morning when I say the morning blessings, I say 20 things I'm thankful for. And this morning it was just 20 things about my children, about the healthy bodies of my children. Healthy livers, healthy kidneys, healthy eyes, healthy hands to pick things up, healthy ears to hear, etc., etc., etc. You get the picture, okay? And I think probably, like, if you wanted to, like, without much effort, you could just do like a thank you Hashem list with hundreds and hundreds, without much effort, like hundreds of things just about your children's physical well-being. Bezrat Hashem. It's amazing this how much. If you just got like a regular, average child, how much we have to be thankful for. Even a child who has disabilities in certain areas, how much we have to be thankful for all the things that are working in any child, in any relatively healthy child. This past Shabbat, we had guests who are very, very dear to our hearts. We have neighbors, Sharon and Ruthie, and Ruthie is actually the oldest person in the world. She's the oldest person in the world with her form of Fanconi's anemia, which is a highly dangerous, it's like a syndrome, a disease, and it's associated. There's a certain kind of Fanconi's anemia which is associated with Ashkenazi Jews. So Ruthie is the oldest living person. I think at the age of 26, she became the oldest person in the world to have this disease, and now she's 33. She's going and she's doing well and she's relatively healthy and she's amazing. In fact, we got a lot of nachas from Ruthie because Ruthie was just appointed the Jerusalem spokesperson for her group. The Jerusalem representative for Beit Galgalim, which is like a center for young adults with disabilities, and she is the Jerusalem representative. So if there's a national meeting of Beit Galgalim, then she's the representative, and it's amazing. It's just amazing to see her. So I saw the mother again. I ran into her mother this morning at the corner store. And I just said, we're talking a little bit about Ruthie's medical history and what she's been through, and I said, Sharon, Ruthie is a walking miracle. She said, you got it. She is a walking miracle. So we have so much to be thankful for. And I just wanted to read you. When my husband sent me a quote this week, and it reminded me of all of this thinking about children and how much we have to be thankful for, just for like a regular average day with a relatively healthy or fully healthy child. Okay, my husband sent me a quote by G.K. Chesterton, who was like a British author and thinker in the early 20th century. And this is, it's a little bit difficult to understand, so I'm going to be sort of explaining as I go along. So he writes, "It is possible that God says every morning, 'Do it again,' to the sun, and every evening, 'Do it again,' to the moon." So so he's just talking about how Hashem, like, even though he's been through, Hashem has seen, an infinite amount of days. Like, Hashem has lived forever, right? So Hashem has seen an infinite amount of days, but he never gets tired of it. He never loses, kivyachol, the excitement of another day. Maybe because he, more than any other being in existence, understand what actually goes into creating another day. So every morning he says, "Do it again to the sun," and every evening, "Do it again to the moon," with the same excitement. He never loses that excitement. I'm continuing on. It may not be automatic necessity that makes all daisies alike. It may be that God makes every daisy separately, but never got tired of making them. Every single daisy. With the I could just be like, another daisy, another daisy, another daisy. No, Hashem's like, another daisy, another daisy, another daisy, because Hashem sees the miracle of every repeating thing, everything. Even though it's the same thing and the same thing, but it's like another one, because he understands the miracle of it, because he made it. He understands the incredibly intricate and impossibly complicated workings or things that had to happen just for that daisy to be in existence. It may be that he has the eternal appetite of infancy. What does that mean? And maybe, when you see like a baby, like let's say a toddler, and you play peekaboo with them, peekaboo, peekaboo, peekaboo. How long is it before we get tired of peekaboo? Maybe like 5 peekaboos, 6 peekaboos. I don't know. Maybe like maybe tops 5 minutes peekaboo. Like a baby would be happy to play 10 hours straight peekaboo, right? Babies, they never lose their excitement, even though there's repetition. Babies never lose their excitement for it. And so he says, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father Hashem is younger than we. Right? We've grown old. We're like, peekaboo, enough, another daisy, who cares? But Hashem's like, another daisy, another day, another evening, another morning. The repetition in nature may not be a mere recurrence. It may be a theatrical encore. Right? So, like when there's an encore, you play and you hear this amazing concert, and you want more. Encore, and then they come out and they play it again. Wow, play it again. And it's the same thing with Hashem. Like Hashem's like, everything that happens in nature, like another daisy, another sunset, another sunset, another sunset. But Hashem never loses the excitement for Kiviyachol, for that another sunset. Heaven may encore the bird who laid an egg. Right? Hashem never loses the excitement for another egg, because he understands the miracle of what that is. So halavai aleinu. So my husband sent this with a little note underneath, and it says, think diapers. Got it? So imagine that every time you had to change like a dirty diaper, let's say a poopy diaper. Every time you're a Jewish mom, you're changing a poopy diaper, and thinking, wow, just everything that has to be working correctly in my baby's body to be creating a poopy diaper. Everything has to be going right, in the esophagus and in the throat and the tongue and the teeth and the and the stomach and the and the large intestine, the small intestine, the I don't know what, like everything all down. Everything that has to be working correctly just to make that poopy diaper. It's like encore, a poopy diaper, and another one. I know this is like a very, very, I'm talking about something that it's sort of like impossible. Like, of course you're not like, a poopy diaper. I mean, that would be sort of like bordering on, I guess, insanity. But I think it is like an ideal. It is an ideal to just never, ever lose, not to lose your excitement for it. Okay, leave the poopy diapers. You don't have to get excited every time. You have to like cheer every time there's a poopy diaper. Like, encore, poopy diaper. You don't have to do that. But I think like a little bit, like I think that that it really was something like this experience with the whole. I think in like the wake of this gross family tragedy, it's woken me up, and I think it's woken up so many parents. For just another day with a healthy child in my house. And all the things that they do. And I have a child who can eat lunch and who can go to GAN, who can go to nursery school, and can walk and can breathe on her own and whatever. So I want to bless all of us that we should be able to access the excitement of just another day, another average day with our healthy average child. And just to see, I guess, the miraculous nature of that, of just like a regular kid living a regular life. So before we finish, I just want to say, I want to just, since I have like a captive audience now of a whole lot of Jewish moms, I wanted to just read like a chapter of Tehillim for a miraculous and immediate recovery for Chaim Michael Shlomo ben Michal. Who is 7 years old, and Raphael Yitzchak Isaac ben Michal, who are in very, very critical condition, and Baruch Hashem, their condition is now stable, and we've seen a little bit of hopeful signs, as I said at the beginning of the pep talk, but they still need a lot of davening, and Bezat Hashem, I'm really, really hoping we're going to see big, big miracles with them. And also I want to ask everyone daven for their parents who have been through so much. And if you saw the pictures of these parents, it's just incredible. They look like two like angels. Like they just look like such beautiful, good-hearted people, and so young and so innocent in a way. Like it's just such a heartbreaking thing. And I just so wanna. I want to just. Now they're physically doing fine. Initially they were hospitalized and they were released. They were a little bit affected by the poison, but Baruch Hashem, I think now they're doing fine. But we need to. But I just want to think that we should daven for them, just like to give them chizuk and to help them get through this. That B'ezrat Hashem, they should live to see happier days, and that we should hear in the years to come like so much good news from the Gross family, from Michal and Shimon Gross. So if we could daven for Shimon Ozer ben Tzipora and Shimon Ozer ben Tzipora, that's the father, and Michal bat Rachel, the mother. Okay, we've suffered so much. So I just want to say, now that I have you here, we're gonna say a parak of Tehillim together. Parak Kaf. למנצח מזמור לדוד, ינחה אדוני ביום צרה, יסגבך שם אלוהי יעקב, ישלח עזרך מקודש ומציון יסדך, יזכור כל מנחותיך ועולתך ידשנה סלע, ייתן לך כלבביך וכל עצתך ימלא, נרננה בישועתך ובשם אלוהינו נדגול, ימלא אדוני כל משאלותיך. עתה ידעתי כי הושיע אדוני משיחו, יענה משמי קדשו, בגבורות ישע ימינו, אלה ברכב ואלה בסוסים, ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר, המה קרו ונפלו ואנחנו קמנו ונתעודד, אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ביום קראנו. B'ezrat Hashem, we hear a lot of good news, Kol Tov, have an amazing week.